Today on Teach Me How to Vegan. As we mentioned in the first podcast, we actually did essentially go vegan overnight.
We did. I think it's possible for people to go vegan overnight if you're vegetarian. And I think if people are really motivated, you can go from omnivore to vegan overnight.
Yeah, we do know people that have done that. They just flip the switch.
Yeah.
So if you're going to flip the switch, this is what you can do to help yourself prepare. Welcome to Teach Me How to Vegan,
A podcast where we explore how to switch to a vegan diet.
I'm Tony, a health educator, fitness instructor, and plant-based eating program manager for Animal Protection of New Mexico.
I'm Mickey, a stay-at-home homeschooling mom and vegan cook who likes to clean the kitchen.
Our family stopped eating meat in 2007.
And we went vegan in 2016. Now we like to share with others what we've learned.
Thanks for joining us.
Let's get started.
So today we're talking about going vegan overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So we, as we mentioned in the first podcast, we actually did essentially go vegan overnight.
We did.
So we're going to just share a little bit about how that was for us. And then we're going to talk about how you can do that if you feel so compelled.
Yeah.
So if you want to be kind of an overnighter, there are 5 main things to consider when making that super quick transition. So the top 5 things we're going to go over is how to read food labels,
What meals and snacks you currently are eating that are accidentally vegan,
looking at what meals and snacks you like that can be easily veganized,
and veganizing your top 5 go-to meals.
and then what nutrients to keep on your radar.
Mm-hmm.
And so, kind of for the record, going vegan overnight doesn't necessarily need to literally mean overnight, because I think for some people going vegan in 1 week is super fast and feels like overnight, right?
Yeah, but we're being literal with overnight.
We are being literal with
right
overnight.
now. This episode, we're literal with overnight.
Overnight.
The next episode will be sort of baby steps that you can speed up or slow down to what you want, but this is literally overnight.
Overnight. But these are things you could also put in your toolbox and think about if you're kind of a baby stepper as well. So it will be helpful for everyone, but particularly for those who just want to dive right in.
Yeah.
And I think it works better for different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Going vegan overnight, some people might be setting themselves up for failure,
Right.
whereas others might be successful
sometimes,
with it.
Yeah, I think for some people going slower just feels like you're not making enough of an impact, or like your reasons are like, this isn't enough, I need to just do it. And so you just do it.
So you just do it. Or if you're like me and you're just extremely competitive and an achiever, or like an overachiever by nature, then, you know, that might be an approach that works for you to be successful, because I can't handle failure.
I think it's just a matter of listening to this episode and seeing if this will work for you. And you could even take these steps and stretch them out so it's not overnight. But this is kind of our guidelines, our suggestions.
Right. And then also kind of our situation was a little bit different because we were already vegetarian.
Yes.
So we didn't go from like complete omnivore or just like standard American diet to vegan overnight.
Correct. We
so
did not.
For the record, we didn't do that. And so we were pretty well equipped to do the overnight switch because we were vegetarian for years already.
Some of these things were already in place for us. Like the food label thing was already in place for us.
Yeah. So when you mix that with, you know, the fact that I've studied nutrition and you're like a master researcher and, you know, you were a nurse at the time and I was a health educator. So kind of we were like a good tag team to do this for sure.
Yeah.
So throwing that out there, we're not like, oh, we went vegan overnight, so you can too.
Yeah. No, there was a 9-year gap there.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, I do think there are people that, you know, if you're vegetarian, I think it's possible for people to go vegan overnight if you're vegetarian. And I think if people are really motivated, you can go from omnivore to vegan overnight.
Yeah, we do know people that have done that because they're extreme animal lovers and empaths. And when it came to them, they just flipped the switch.
Yeah.
So if you're going to flip the switch, this is what you can do to help yourself prepare.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive in.
Sure.
So first, how to read food labels. So if you're, you know, going to work really hard at eliminating animal products, there's the obvious, anything that's meat or has meat in it or milk or egg.
Fish.
That's kind of the obvious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're reading a food label, if you're not sure if it has any of that stuff in it, one of the easy things you could do is just read the allergens
Yes.
listed.
Yep.
They're always required to list allergens on the food label.
And they have to stand out in some way. So sometimes it'll be bolded within the ingredient list, and sometimes they'll be pulled out where it says contains, and then it'll list
It'll
the
be
allergens.
Either or, yeah. Sometimes both.
Sometimes both.
So you can either skim the ingredients list and look for bolded words or read the list at the bottom. They have to list milk, eggs, and fish
Okay.
as allergens. So there's a few other ingredients that then if it doesn't have any of those, then you kind of do another read the ingredients to make sure that you're not missing any gelatin, which is an animal product, honey, or milk derivatives like whey or casein. And there's lots of others, but we're not going to get lost in the weeds of that right now.
Yeah,
when
these are good
when
starting
you're
points.
making a quick switch, it's important to actually not go down the rabbit hole of trying to be perfect.
Yeah, because it gets overwhelming. I was like, whoa, that there's so much, they get into like food dyes and this and that, and some are plant derived and some are animal derived. And when we first went vegan overnight, it was like, okay, I'm going for the obvious stuff right now because that is what I can handle.
Right.
And that's what we did.
And it's not about being perfect, and it never should be about being perfect.
Yeah.
We live in an imperfect world, and we just do the best we can.
Yep.
So just looking out for those main ingredients in the ingredients list. And people joke that after a while you get like laser fast with this. And it's actually really true.
It does get easier with time.
At first, it seems overwhelming.
It does, but you do get pretty fast. And
I feel like now I just glance at it and I'm like, gelatin, right there, throwback.
I have to slow down sometimes because I've missed gelatin one time, and I was like, it was a good snack I wanted, but didn't eat it. So yeah, but it does get faster. Yeah. So, and then the other thing to watch for is the non-dairy label, because that does not mean it's vegan.
Right.
That happened to us with what was it, little ice cream bites or something.
Yeah, things could be labeled non-dairy, but yet still have milk derivatives in them. And the prime example is a lot of coffee creamers.
Yes.
Coffee Mate. That's mostly like corn syrup solids and hydrogenated oil, and it almost seems like it's just vegan junk food. But it does have casein in it. Yeah. And so I don't know how.
Is it the lactose? Because it doesn't have lactose. That's how
right.
it can get the non-dairy
If it doesn't
label.
have lactose, they could claim it's non-dairy.
Yeah.
Even though it is. It's wild. So just kind of watch out for labels like that. The food industry is notorious for misleading labels. So anything that it says on the front, unless it says certified vegan.
Right. Unless it's got the V.
Anything else, be very wary of it and
check the ingredients label.
Yeah. So that's kind of your first step, kind of knowing how to identify what is vegan and what's not. And then that kind of opens up your world to the second thing we're going to talk about, which is looking at what meals and snacks you eat that are accidentally vegan. We use that term accidentally vegan. Like they didn't set out to make a vegan food, but a lot of foods are just plant-based by design. Yeah. So when you start doing that, you might realize that a lot of foods you eat are already vegan, and and be surprised at what you don't need to cut out, right? So a lot of, like, for example, burritos, pastas, peanut butter and jelly is vegan. That's my favorite one, when a lot of people tell me, oh my God, I've never had vegan food in my whole entire life. And
have
I'm
you
like,
eaten a peanut butter jelly sandwich?
have you eaten an apple before? Yeah. Kind of worried about you.
Yeah.
So that a lot of soups and stews. Yeah. Like, sometimes
minestrone stew.
Minestrone, yeah. Is vegan.
Barley vegetable, all sorts of stuff. White bean soups.
Our favorite stew, my favorite stew, lentil stew, has been my favorite forever and a day, ever since we went vegetarian, and it's actually vegan. Yeah. Just by accident. Yep. So, and then a lot of breads. Yeah. People are surprised. You can get a lot of, sourdough breads, French breads, lots of different breads.
English muffins, bagels, like that's not going to go away.
All that stuff. So, yeah, just kind of check it out and enjoy the pleasant surprise at the things you don't need to cut out.
Yeah. And then some snack stuffs that's accidentally vegan, hummus and chips, hummus and veggies, peanut butter, chips and salsa, popcorn, those kind of things that, like, a lot of even movie theater popcorn is accidentally vegan because that quote unquote butter they put on top, that's not real butter. Most of it's not real butter.
Right.
But
most of the prominent movie theaters, they use oil that has artificial butter flavor.
Vegan. And then it's vegan. So like you can still go to the movies and enjoy some popcorn.
You can still overindulge in popcorn.
Exactly.
Like I always have.
Yeah. That didn't change either. So it's kind of fun. And then there's some accidentally vegan junk food that a lot of people don't realize. And Oreos is one of the better known ones, Nutter Butters. And then some of those like handheld pies you can get at the like convenience store or checkout aisles. Those are accidentally vegan. And then of course, the quick grab and go usual, like, fruit. The original, the original grab and go fruit, or like the little like avocado and pretzel cups that they have in some sections, and the hummus and pretzel cups, and so there's some things there.
There's so many.
There's so many.
We've done road trips as vegans with kids.
Yep.
And
been fine at.
We've never had a problem finding snacks or foods or anything like that.
Yeah, salt and vinegar chips.
Yeah.
Some salt and vinegar chips, I should specify.
Right. Yeah, that's another, you have to watch out for those milk solids or milk derivatives. They hide everywhere.
They really do.
In the most ridiculous things.
Yeah, salt and vinegar chips. And I think there's like one brand that's accidentally vegan.
Yeah. And you'll have this experience too. Every vegan has it of like, why is there milk in this product? Yes. What on earth does milk do for this product?
Yeah. Yes.
Salt and vinegar chips. Why?
Take it out. So yeah, there's that.
Right. And then another thing on just kind of looking at what's accidentally vegan is researching how to eat vegan at restaurants that you already go to a lot. So especially ones that are not mom and pop's restaurants. So any restaurant chain, there's likely some blog post or article or something about how to eat vegan there. So if you just Google how to eat vegan at and whatever restaurant you go to, somebody's probably done some research for you and you can get it there. PETA has a lot of that on their website.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised, like Carl's Jr. or like In-N-Out in California, Taco Bell. Taco Bell was one of the easiest ones. I mean, there's so many things you can do there. So those places. And some are, of course, going to be have more options than others. So you just have to do some exploring.
Yeah. But you, again, might be pleasantly
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just researching vegan restaurants in your area. You might be surprised at what's already there.
Yeah, that you didn't know about because you weren't in the know.
And what they have. For example, our local Thai vegan is a restaurant that's all vegan. And the title makes you think they only have Thai food, but they have some of the best chicken sandwiches and burgers in town. So sometimes we go there when we want Thai food, when we want like curry and pad Thai. And sometimes we go there when we want a good burger and chicken sandwich.
Yep.
Because their fries are amazing.
And it's all in-house made. So it's a nice treat. Like it's a nice treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just checking it out. If you're in New Mexico, on our website, we have a New Mexico vegan dining guide that you can download that helps you find restaurants across the state that have at least 2 plant-based entrees.
And that means it's more than just like fries and salad.
Right.
Because usually at any place you can get fries and a salad and be pretty confident that it's vegan. But this is more robust than that.
Yeah. You don't have to MacGyver using sides and stuff. They actually have it on the menu. It's at least 2 entrees.
Yeah.
So you can find it there. If you're not in New Mexico or if you're traveling, there's a great app called Happy Cow that I always have on my phone and I put it on my home screen anytime we travel because it uses your location to find vegan restaurants in your area or vegan options.
It's so good. That's how we found Pizza Hut in St. Louis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It makes me feel like an explorer.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Trying to discover what's out there.
Yeah, that was the best vegan pizza I've ever had. Oh my God. So good.
We found so many jewels.
Go back to St. Louis just for that.
Yeah. I want to get paid to just travel the world.
This episode brought to you by
Pizza Hut in St. Louis.
Sorry, it was just so good. Yes, Happy Cow is a really, really useful app. Yeah, Happy Cow helped identified a Jamaican vegan restaurant in Florida City when we were back visiting.
With this house-made jerk tofu.
Oh
that
my
I was
goodness.
Like, it was the best thing.
It was so good.
Oh God, yeah.
I knew you were going to love jerk.
And we could do a whole episode about gems.
Yes.
Vegan gems around the country that we found with Happy Cow.
Yeah. So
anyway, back to our conversation. There's lots of things out there that you might not have discovered before.
Yes.
So looking into it and then seeing what they have to offer.
Yeah. So the next is some meals and snacks that can be easily veganized, like oatmeal and pancakes, cereal, pizza, tacos, soups and stews, burritos. I mean, the list goes on.
And you'd be surprised at how easy it
Yeah.
is. Like if you like oatmeal, just use a plant-based
But,
milk
yep.
instead of dairy milk and you're done. Pancakes, we have a pancake recipe on our website that's super easy.
And we've been using that one for years, so
Forever.
it works really nicely.
Yeah.
And pizza is super easy. We do Friday night family night, and we usually have pizza and watch a movie or play games. And that was able to continue when we went vegan. We have a good dough recipe. We got vegan cheese, and now we get the Morningstar Italian sausage. Oh, that takes it to the next level. But anyway, it's very easy to make that vegan, so you can keep. If you have any kinds of those traditions, or you typically, you have cookouts in the summer and you have burgers, just get some vegan burgers.
Right.
And it's very easy to find some vegan replacement stuff.
Yeah. So just identifying what can be easily veganized could really help out a lot.
Yeah.
And then the next one, once you've kind of looked at what is accidentally vegan and what's easily veganizable, then the next you want to veganize your top 5 go-to meals, whatever they are.
Yeah.
I don't care what they are. And this is not your favorite meals of all time.
Right.
It's your go-to meals, the meals you make most often.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you will come back to them. You will want them. They're ingrained in you.
They are. They're comforting.
Part
They're
of your
easy.
routine.
They're comforting. Maybe they're simple, and just figure out how to. So maybe you have Taco Tuesday every week with your family. That's easy to veganize. Like, get some crumbles. This is where some meat substitutes can come in. Some vegan cheese substitutes can come in. Or find a recipe. There's a really great recipe that we found that is a lentil taco meat that's brown rice and lentils in a crock pot with spices, and it's delicious.
Delicious tacos.
Yeah. So it's really, maybe it's turkey breast and mashed potatoes and green beans. Apparently I grew up eating that a lot because I go back to that a lot. So
She does. Like a lot, y'all.
Like a lot. That is totally a comfort food for me, especially if it's breaded. I think it was like breaded, like thin, I don't know, something. But we get the Gardein cutlets is what I get when I want that. And they're breaded and they come with a gravy and it's delicious. And then make some mashed potatoes, green beans in a roll, and I'm good to go. And I'm having some comfort food, and I realized that another thing that is really a go-to for me is pinto beans and Spanish rice.
Right.
And that was really easy. I never put any lard or fat or meat bone or anything like that in my beans before, but a lot of people did. And then you can just remove that and still make your beans, and you can put spices if you want. Like, it's still delicious,
You can explore with like benevolent bacon. Some people like to put benevolent bacon, that's a vegan bacon, in their beans.
You can get like a smoked paprika or smoke flavoring if you want that in your beans. There's all sorts of ways to sort of replicate those flavors without using animal products.
Yeah. So find a way that is equally delicious and convenient and comforting.
Yes.
And that will just become part of your new routine, and you'll just make it that way forever.
Yeah.
Because for me, I love smothered burritos.
Yes.
I just have to have that once in a while. So finding a good vegan cheese that I like, or sometimes I like a vegan cheese sauce. Or if it just has enough chili.
Yeah.
smothered with
on
lettuce
top
and
of it,
tomato,
yeah.
and it's delicious, then that'll be
Then
good for me. So yeah, pick your 5 meals that you and or your family kind of lean on consistently.
Think about when you're tired and you don't really have the energy to cook, but you're not going to go out and get fast food. What do you usually fall back on? Is it pasta with sauce and with a meat sauce? How can you replace that? Is it breakfast for dinner? How can you make that vegan?
Right.
Whatever it is, think about like when you're tired and you don't want to cook, but you don't want to spend money either because you got to eat at home. What do you fall back on?
Right.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to look at recipes that are not vegan and then just replace whatever's not vegan in it with a vegan replacement.
Yeah.
Because there's so many meat substitutes for beef, chicken, pork, fish, anything you could think of. There's a vegan version of that.
Yes.
Virtually. I mean, there's not like vegan quail or something like that, but most of them, right?
Yeah.
There's vegan cheeses. There's mozzarella, cheddar, blocks, fresh mozzarella, feta. Like there's every kind of vegan cheese. There's vegan butters.
Yes.
That are delicious, that do the trick just like dairy butter does for baking, for cooking, for
any of it.
Topping, toast, all of it. There are egg replacers for baking. Sometimes you have to play around with the right one, but you can use flax to make an egg replacer. You can use aquafaba. There's an actual
chia.
You can use chia, and there's a product called egg replacer.
It's powder.
For baking. It's a powder.
And it's been around for ages. Like the cover still looks like it did in the 70s.
Yeah, probably.
So, it's not from the 70s. They're still making new ones.
It
but
does look
they
like
haven't updated the picture.
Looks like it came out of a museum for sure.
My friend told me about it and showed me. I was like, wow, okay. But it works.
Why do I feel like it's a 1970 Betty Crocker cookbook?
Exactly.
So, but there's that. So you can veganize anything. And if you need help, reach out to a friend, reach out to us.
Find a blog.
It's out there.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the fourth one. And then our fifth thing is nutrients to keep on your radar.
Yes. And it's really not as many as people might lead you to believe it is.
And spoiler alert, it is not protein. You do not need to worry about protein.
You really don't.
If you're getting enough calories and you're eating a variety of foods, you are absolutely getting enough protein. That is the final answer. I can promise you.
Hallelujah.
Anyway, we could do a whole podcast about protein, and we're not going to go there because it's not something you need to keep on your radar.
Right.
The one thing that we do feel that people need to keep on their radar is iron.
Yes. We knew a couple of people after we went vegetarian that asked us about it. And so I encouraged them and gave them answers and all this stuff. And then they came back and was like, we feel really tired all the time. And I said, well, okay, what are you eating? And they told me, and I said, what about beans? I said, well, we don't really eat much beans. And I said, try eating some beans and see if that helps, because iron, when you get low iron, you feel tired. And they started eating beans more regularly, and it changed, and they felt so much better.
And because, some people will make the change, and then they'll feel tired, and then they'll think it's meat.
Yeah.
They'll think it's protein. For some reason, even though protein doesn't give us energy. But anyway, if you kind of make a drastic change to your diet and you're not kind of aware of eating iron-containing foods, or foods that are high in iron, it's easy to kind of get low, get tired, and...
Yeah, it's not the protein in meat that people are missing and they start to feel tired. It's the iron.
Right.
And so you want to get beans, whole grains, leafy greens, and then, of course, supplements if you feel like you're still not getting enough.
Or if you talk to your doctor,
your
iron's low, your doctor might recommend supplements.
Yeah, and that's okay.
People on any type of diet could potentially need supplements.
Supplements, exactly.
It just depends on the individual person.
Yes.
And iron is one of those things that sometimes people need supplements for. Vitamin D, a lot of people need vitamin D supplements. So that's something, that should be on everyone's radar. So that's, a possibility is needing supplements. But making sure you're incorporating those beans, whole grains, and leafy greens. Those iron-rich
foods.
It's not very hard. It's just a matter of having those.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are three things that are easy to not have in your diet if you're eating a lot of like convenience foods.
Yes.
And junk foods.
And it's good to know too that vitamin C helps iron absorption.
Right.
So if you have, one of our favorite meals is fajitas with beans and Spanish rice. With pinto beans and Spanish rice. And so the vitamin C in our fajitas, because we just do peppers. I don't even buy a replacement meat to put in with them because we just love the sauteed peppers and onions.
Every color of pepper.
Yeah, every color. And then
Those
it's
are
the rainbow.
Loaded with vitamin C.
Yeah, and so there's a ton of vitamin C. So it's a really great combination to eat together, the fajitas with the pinto beans, because the vitamin C is helping to absorb the iron in the pinto beans.
Yep. And I always tell people nature knew what it was doing because that's such a good combination.
Yes.
Another perfect combination is beans and green chili.
Exactly.
The green chili is loaded with vitamin C, which helps facilitate the absorption of the iron from the beans. So kind of just being aware of that is really important.
Yeah.
And then secondly is fiber. And not that you want to make sure you get enough,
Yeah.
but you want to make sure you don't get too much too fast.
Yes, yeah. Because it's a big switch with going vegan is, especially if you're coming from the standard American diet or a diet that has a lot of processed foods, your body's not used to the amount of fiber that you might start getting when you switch to vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be some bloating, there will be some gas. And
some extra regular
yes
bowel movements.
Yeah. And it's all normal and natural, and your body will adjust. For some people, it might take a little longer, but just give your body that time.
Some people think, oh, it's not agreeing with my digestive system.
Yeah.
It's just that your digestive system doesn't agree with an extra 30 grams of fiber every day.
Yeah.
That's what might be throwing you off.
Yeah.
And a lot of, dietitians recommend increasing your fiber intake slowly to not overwhelm yourself,
Yeah, and that's any dietitian for any diet.
For anything.
Any dietitian with any diet that they're recommending an increase in fiber for, they're going to tell them to do it slowly. That's not just going vegan.
Right. And also because animal products don't have any fiber.
Yeah.
Fiber is one of those things that only exists in plant foods, not in animal foods.
Yeah.
Just like earlier, remember, cholesterol only exists in animal foods and we don't need it. Fiber only exists in plant foods and we absolutely need it.
Yeah.
And most Americans don't get enough.
Yeah.
Which is why it might shock your system. But even just switching from like cow milk to soy milk, there's no fiber in cow milk. There's a couple grams of fiber in soy milk. From meats to replacement meats, the faux meats have fiber
in
whereas animal flesh does not. So you're going to up your fiber intake, even if you don't have any extra fruits and vegetables. If you switch from animal products to those products, you're going to get extra fiber.
Yeah.
So just having an awareness of that and knowing if you do have some of those bloating or things we talked about, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's normal. Your body will adjust.
Yeah. Just kind of have it on your radar. We're not saying these are things to be concerned about, but things to have on your radar.
Yeah, just as you're going through it, you might notice these things.
Right.
And so, okay, that's what they talked about with the iron. That's what they talked about with the fiber.
Yeah.
And just being aware.
So a third thing is B12. Now, this should be on everyone's radar. B12 is not something that is specific to vegans, that only vegans need to worry about. Pretty much everyone should be considering a B12 supplement or talking to your doctor about B12 and having your B12 levels checked regularly, because that's one thing that people point out. So B12 does not we're not getting it naturally from our plant-based diets today, and you can get B12 from animal-based foods like meat and eggs and dairy. So the thing about it is that I like to kind of remind people is that animals don't naturally produce B12 and then you eat them and get it. The animal itself has to eat B12. So what we do today is we give animals B12 supplements and then their bodies absorb it, and then we eat their flesh or drink their milk or eat their eggs and get that same B12 that was supplemented to them. So we could just cut out the quote unquote middleman and take the supplement ourselves. You either get the supplement from eating animal tissue that the supplement is in, or just take the supplement yourself. Yeah.
And it's about 40% of Americans are B12 deficient, regardless of diet. That's not even specifying like vegans or omnivores. That's
so 40%
of Americans.
Yeah.
So where can we get B12?
So we can get it from taking supplements. Most doctors would just recommend a supplement. Cyanocobalamin. You can take it once a week if it's a higher dose, or you can take a smaller dose daily. Definitely talk to your dietitian or your doctor about what dose you need, but supplements are the easiest way. But you can also get them from foods that are fortified with B12. So most plant-based milks are fortified with B12. So soy milk, almond milk.
That's why you're always on me to drink it.
Well, that and they're in vitamin D too.
Yeah. Yes.
So
anyway,
and it's delicious, especially soy milk. Have I mentioned that? But so most plant-based milks are fortified, and then nutritional yeast, which is a game changer for cooking and recipe wise. If you want cheesy stuff, nutritional yeast should have been number 6 on our list. Like, you need to put that in your life. Just kidding. But that's a good source of vitamin B12 for a lot of people. And then
I think that's my favorite source of vitamin B12.
Yes.
Is nutritional yeast.
Yes.
And then sprinkle that everywhere.
We just kind of sprinkle it on everything. Our kids love it too.
Yeah.
And then there are some other foods that are fortified with B12. Some cereals will be fortified.
And I think a lot of the cereals are fortified just as it is, and they include B12 because it's so important.
Some doctors will say, if you have a reliable daily source, don't worry about supplementation.
Right.
If you're getting your levels checked every year and they're fine, don't really worry. We take a supplement just because it's kind of just the easiest thing to do.
To make sure.
So we have a children's chewable that we all like.
Yeah.
That we take that has B12 in it, just so we're sure. And then, getting them checked when we can. But those are the main ones to kind of have on your radar, we feel like. Of course, every essential nutrient should be on everyone's radar.
Yeah.
And we should be getting them checked and kind of just being aware of having a varied diet. But those are kind of some of the main ones if you're doing this overnight thing.
Yeah, those are the ones to. And then as you get comfortable with your new eating habits and switches and all of that stuff, you can dig a little deeper on like what else is it that vegans should kind of watch for nutrient wise.
Right.
And because that information is out there, but just work for finding it on a reputable source. Nutritionfacts.org is probably
a good go-to.
A really great go-to for reputable, real information.
That's definitely what we'd recommend.
Yeah.
And then just want to kind of point out, don't be too restrictive without doing your research and talking to your healthcare providers.
Yes,
this is where a lot of people fail. They get too restrictive. If they're going into it for health reasons, some people they eliminate a lot of foods. And then that's when you start having nutrient deficiencies, when you're too restrictive.
Yeah.
If it's really important to you to be that restrictive, you need to work with your healthcare provider.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're not missing out on something.
There's a lot of YouTubers that were really big in the vegan community, and now they're ex-vegans. But when you look at the way they ate, the majority of them that the thing they have in common is how restrictive their diets were.
Yes.
And not getting a true variety of nutrients in food. Don't do that and then blame it on the diet.
Right.
And then blame it on veganism. Talk to your healthcare provider, talk to somebody with that kind of training if you feel like you need to start taking more things out of your diet.
So those are the 5 kind of things to really think about and work on if you're going to do this overnight thing.
Yep.
Like we did. Just some final thoughts before we're done.
Yeah.
I always remind people, don't worry about being perfect. No one's perfect. You're never going to be perfect. It's not about being pure or purist. Veganism is not about causing no harm. It's about causing the least amount of harm.
Yes.
And just know that you're doing your best, and that is enough.
And as you explore and do more research and gain more understanding, you can expand your knowledge, and you just do the best you can with what you have at that time.
Right. And I encourage people to not get lost in the weeds of trying to be perfect or trying to eliminate every single itty bitty grain of animal-based anything.
Oh my gosh, because the weeds, that's what I was talking with the food dyes and calling, because you could call every company, the effort that takes could be spent elsewhere for, veganism or being plant-based.
Very true.
Yeah.
And then remember that one slip up does not mean you're not vegan anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about this in another podcast too, about the stages of change and how lapse and relapse are pretty much inevitable.
Yep.
It's part of it. If that doesn't mean, you have the green light to just, cheat every once in a while. We're not talking about cheat days. We're not talking about that. We're talking about like you genuinely had a relapse.
Yes. Yeah.
A genuine slip up. It doesn't mean you're not vegan.
Yeah. No, I used to have them when we were vegetarian. I had them, but I always, reset. It's all right.
Right.
And keep going. Keep trucking along.
Yeah. We might even do a whole episode on relapse, but it doesn't mean you're not vegan. It's fine. Just get back on the wagon.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if an athlete skips one workout, are they not an athlete anymore?
Okay.
I have analogies for days on this, but we'll just go with that one for now.
Alrighty. And then lastly, remember, you can do this.
You can do this.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. You can do it. It's about remembering your why and staying motivated and inspired.
Exactly. Next time we'll talk about baby steps and taking a slower approach. If that's for you, if this overnight stuff is not where you're wanting to go. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Teach Me How to Vegan. Thanks for tuning in. For more resources, recipes, information, you can visit our website at apnm.org/plant-based. You can also email us with questions, comments, feedback, plant-based@apnm.org.
Catch you next time.